side. That side of the board.
Yeah. What do you want to do?
We're gonna push it forward. Forward.
Doesn't wanna move.
No? No, I guess that's as far
It's
as they can
close
go.
enough. These,
It should be.
all you gotta do is lean in and you don't realize that, will these turn off on everything? So I hit them all on. They must turn off after a certain time.
That's because the batteries are low on that one. Yeah, these aren't charging.
Really? Oh, this one is,
Oh, Jesus.
this one's the one.
All right, I would turn them off.
Yeah, it's only 10 minutes.
Yes, but the batteries are low. I want to know why they're not being put on charge.
I yell at Terry.
Yeah.
Guy's always slacking off on it.
Yeah.
What the heck?
What the heck, what?
Well, they told me that they put a chair for Mike in the corner. I see the chair.
I don't see it.
Bob, how are you doing?
Hi, Jim.
Happy Tuesday to you.
It is a happy one. The sun. I got your email, thanks. I'll give you a copy of the agenda, but they're reading off, I'll give it to you. So if we have to make any changes, whatever, to meet those obligations you're talking about, let's go.
Yeah, and I got something, Craig. as far
You
as-
said, that your email said you can do something.
Yeah, so I've got that, so we can talk about that.
Oh boy.
What? They seem closer.
They are?
Very close.
Where's that at?
Just love it.
I'm afraid to lean into the counter.
Oh, come on now.
I'm kidding.
I know. And you know what my answer would be.
I know.
Deal with it.
I know. I do know.
Double A batteries. Where are they? The microphones.
You want me to share?
Yeah. Yeah, he's got one over there.
It's right here.
How you doing, Steve?
Pulling in.
Let me actually get out of the way.
Here.
No, I just don't want the chair to catch it. Just take it.
That's big.
No. Well, I don't care. You don't get paid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I figured so.
Calvin, up to the about the sign. Probably numbers 1, 2, 3. Because there's.
No.
I want to be number one.
Yeah, well, you're number one in my book. I think I was number one in a few people's book. You kept bringing me the sign.
Well, I want to go for the wheels.
Nice, nice and thick.
Isn't it? Seriously, doesn't it? It's a roller coaster.
Yeah, I might have walked Walmart special.
Yeah, no, these are more fun.
In his desk. Oh, he said he had them. Okay.
I might have some requests. How are you? Joe?
Debbie,
Yes.
you have my computer?
Yes.
Yes.
It's in my office.
Yeah. I got
Would you like me to
distracted, I
bring it to
forgot
you?
it.
I will bring it to you in just a minute.
No hurry. I think
Let
I'll
me
do
just
it.
do this really quick. Oh, it's 6 o'clock already.
Yeah, mine won't.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gregor, are the mics turned on in the media room?
Yes. They may not be on that. That's what. Yes. 1 second, John. Are you on?
There's, yeah, there's a car.
Batteries, batteries are gone, so we turn off.
Oh.
Is it on? Turn it off.
If the green does what it still is.
Yeah, it's on. She's got batteries.
If that green's off, it's off. Is that-
Yeah, because if it was on, how is that? It's not working. Testing,
No, they're not working.
the lights on.
Hello?
Oh,
Testing,
yours just
testing,
worked.
They should all work. Yes?
Yours is working.
Testing.
Yours isn't on.
It's on, the battery's not low.
That's because you're not on.
Yeah, I am.
Oh.
Testing. You know, speaking of,
Do I have an extra pen? Already got one.
if you go in the container where you sign in, there's pens in there.
Steve, here's a-
Oh, that's one I'll have to return.
Yes.
Yeah.
like the title company.
This is not working in the
Oh,
town.
this is just for the budget. This is, that's not his motion. This is the motion. No, it won't be in it. I'm gonna read it. I'll give it to Dave.
Technical difficulties, one moment.
But that is, that's on here.
Nope, this one's broken.
Okay.
Well, Jim's not gonna be here, right?
He may come later, but not now.
Testing. I'll switch it, get a new one.
Now, testing?
Yeah, there we go. I heard it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we're gonna, Mchenry Township, we've called the meeting to order. Regarding the Mchenry Township Town Mchenry Fund and General Assistance Fund. This is the public hearing to, motion for the adoption of the ordinance. Do we have any public comment for this meeting? Any public comment for this meeting? Okay, none being heard, let's move on. Okay, we have the ordinance in front of you, gentlemen.
I have a question.
Sure.
This, where it says budget hearing and adoption, I'm reading this from out of what came in one of our township perspective magazines.
Okay.
It says the last day to conduct budget hearings and adopt township and road district budgets. Budgets may adopt before and during the first quarter of the fiscal year. Okay. Do not adopt at the end of the meeting. But this is kind of confusing to me, and I wonder why it is this way. It said the township budget may be adopted, not shall, may be adopted at the public hearing. The road district budget shall be adopted at the public hearing. Why would there be may and shall?
I'll have to let the attorney address that, I wouldn't know.
Good question, may and shall. Depending on the unit of government, sometimes they are not allowed to adopt it during the public hearing time. So what they end up having is a public hearing, closing the hearing, and then subsequently reopening a meeting 5 minutes later. So essentially what you would have is this public hearing, like you're doing now, and then close it, and then adopting a budget appropriation ordinance 5 minutes later after you get out of this meeting. That link,
Do we go into another closed session or something?
no, what you would do is, if the statute didn't allow for it, you would have a public hearing, and then you would close your public hearing, and then you would adopt your budget appropriation ordinance in that next regular meeting, 5 minutes later, 15 minutes later. The statute provides shall and may that allows you to do it within your public hearing meeting. So at this meeting right now, you can then adopt this budget appropriation ordinance.
Or we can.
Correct. So
With
you'll
the
want
road
to do it.
district, we shall.
You have to do it.
This,
You have to do this too, Bob, though. I mean,
Yeah.
so this would give us an option.
So next year, in theory for next year, if this board wanted to have a public hearing on one date and time, they would then have that public hearing and then either adopt it at that public hearing or have another date. Correct, have
Okay.
another date in order to do that.
I understand that now, because when I read that, I said, why would that be that way?
That's why.
But thanks for explaining to me. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so then, is there any, we'll move on, is there any, conversation about this Mchenry Township, McHenry Town budget and appropriation ordinance before you?
Shouldn't somebody make a motion in a second?
Yes, we should. We should have a motion and a second first.
I have some questions.
Oh, we need a motion and a second first, I guess.
Isn't that the proper
Make sure
order?
it's right.
Yes, it is.
I will make a motion to, accept the budget and appropriation ordinance 18-1906. Do I have a second to that?
Second?
Okay, we have a first and second. Now we can have discussion, Steve.
Now, has anything been added to this budget since our last meeting?
Nothing's been added to the budget since our last meeting.
Has anything been taken away from it?
Nothing's been taken away from it. It's exactly the same as our last meeting.
And then one final aspect that I'm unclear about. The highway commissioner, half of his salary comes from the town fund,
Correct.
and the other half comes from, which of the two road?
General Road and Bridge.
General Road and Bridge Fund.
Okay, and so where does the health insurance come? Is he half in the town and half?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. It's half and half.
Okay.
And that's by statute.
So then all the expenses relating to the salary and the benefits of the road district commissioner, half is in the town, half is in the road and bridge fund.
That is correct.
Okay.
So I have a first and a second on the floor to accept the budget appropriation of McHenry Township ordinance number 18-1906.
And then what's the effect, Mr. Militello, of approving this budget, but then canceling out something that's in the budget?
This budget and appropriation ordinance authorizes the board the authority to spend the funds. If the contract or authority or something, for example, you're trying to buy a piece of equipment, you no longer decide to buy the equipment. This doesn't mean you have to spend the money, it just means you have the ability to spend it in the event that the board chooses to spend it.
And it has to be spent within the line item that is appropriated for, Steve.
So in other words, the board is not handcuffed by approving this budget.
By no means.
No.
Okay.
So let's have a roll call vote on this. Anderson?
Yes.
Rakestraw?
Yes.
Adams, yes. Wojciechowski? Yes. Beer?
Yes.
Okay, so moved and passed. We need an adjournment of this meeting. I move for an adjournment. Do we have a second? I'll second. Seconded by Mr. Wojciechowski. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay. Unfortunately, we have to wait 5 minutes for the next one, because it's posted for 6:15.
Who was second on that?
Dan.
When your late time doesn't look like this at all. Yes. It is unfair.
Call me in the morning. Do you have a, that'll have a minute? Call me on. I'll remember to ask Gavin. You'll find it. It costs like $10,000 a piece. Yeah, I'm sure. I saw him. Maybe if you free cocktails at your place. Just kidding, probably on the air, sorry. Probably shouldn't say that in public, sorry.
Tell me that about the arena?
Oh, while we're waiting, Dan, can you have everybody sign this appropriation?
He spent someone's money.
And it hasn't been played, they got to sign it. Do I? Let me see. Yeah, I guess so. Keep that, yeah, you have to do all that, then we have to file that.
6:15.
All right, 6:15, call a public hearing order for the Permanent Hard Road Fund. We already did the Pledge of Allegiance, well, no, we don't need to do it again, we've done it. All right. So, the Permanent Hard Road Fund, you have the proposed budget in front of you.
Do you have any public comment?
I'm sorry, any public comment on the Permanent Hard Road Fund budget from anyone? Last call. Okay, none being heard, we're gonna move on. Nothing has changed in this either since the last time we discussed it. And this would be, you have the figures in front of you. And the ordinance is together with the other ordinance, which is 190618.
And just so we're clear on the record, what was the final version, which draft was that for the road, permanent road fund?
Mr. Khan would have to address that. I don't remember.
And April 10th, 2019.
The last time we met and talked about it, which,
Greg, can we backtrack? I made a motion, we should get a second.
okay, we have a motion by Bob. I'll second the motion. Okay, now we can have discussion.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
I'd like to say that I think the board did a great job of getting to the individual line items, and I think we did a great job doing that. And I think Jim also should be congratulated for working with us.
Okay, thank you. If there's any more discussion, let's have a vote, if that's okay with everybody. Okay, let's vote on the 615, the Mchenry Township Road District Permanent Hard Road Fund. Vote to approve. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Wojciechowski? Yes. And Mr. Beard?
Yeah.
Okay, so approved. We're running ahead of ourselves, so I need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned by Mr. Veer, seconded by Mr. Rakestraw. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, motion, meeting's adjourned. We have to wait till 6:30 for the last one.
Do you know if anybody, Craig, that came by to look at the budget when it's posted?
I'm not aware of anyone that came by, but that doesn't mean they did.
Are you aware of that?
It was also-
Everybody came in when the budget was posted, you know, everybody came to do that.
But it was also posted online, Bob, so
I was just wondering if
Yeah.
somebody came in and here, what you would have been from it. Nobody spoke about any questions. I don't know why you would only have to look at it.
Posting right here?
Well, it was at the front desk if Dan wasn't here for anybody to look at. And so me and Dan may not be where somebody came in. Yeah, that's there, because it's in the trees, yeah. And I don't know if he wants to, but I do sit next to him. I kind of laughed at that. Yeah, good idea, because that one doesn't. Okay, that's right. You know, there may be, but I don't know how they would work. There may be spare ones.
Oh, I talked with spares.
But I don't know how you hook them up because there's different channels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll talk to Mr. Turner.
You guys are sure? I can't. You guys are sure?
Okay.
I think I'm told.
Stan, I'll get your laptop.
What do you should say? I was thinking the same thing. Then my sister calls me, she goes, you know, he's who gets houses from the coast. Because all I ever see is pictures of people, pictures of trying to get some shot. Because he's looking at big one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right, you're right.
He's doing something wrong.
I was too young to vote for this.
Well,
What I didn't need is
I should have taken, you know, you might want to get that.
Richard Nixon.
Yeah, they all went this way.
my mom,
Yeah, I did.
brother's block,
His son.
you know, forgave him that extra. My only connection.
Oh, because of,
Yes, I'm working in the city.
Yeah, that's why it's purple dress, the one we're warned about.
Voila.
I'm such a klutz.
It was not a big deal.
I remember, my mother.
Did you see what happened when I get this job?
Debbie, how can we get water for,
What?
how can we get water?
How?
Being there the most. I'm always jealous. Right. Right, I know. And I'm like, I think he's supposed to do bits of work. I don't know how he does it. Yeah. Who's watching this door? Yeah. Yeah. And I guess he said, we are moving. This guy is retired. So there to if I stayed. And I looked at that and I kind of They did, that's right. I forgot about that.
Water? Water?
That's right.
Water?
I don't like those things that are more than they can't get by on bottled water.
Well, we're gonna be here for
I don't,
another hour anyway.
I know, I don't take it
Okay,
to school
no,
board
they
either.
don't want water.
I do remember.
I think something there. Do you want water?
You don't have.
So we've seen. As many times as they want to, they don't open their stuff. Yes, they do, but. Yeah. And who is it that's, this is probably, and so they are, this might be enjoyable, you fight in the car.
going closer to it.
Yeah, it's way different than we were. It goes together. I think it's better. No meeting. My high school football talk committee. Mustn't have been busy. Friday
You
night.
realize how many things you gotta do? Last Thursday, it was like,
That's right.
today there's gonna be every one of these have to have separate minutes. Well,
It's fine. It's nice.
I emailed
Recognize the sign that you're
Just come to town,
Six thirty. So there's the whole big dog.
Mr. Chairman, 6:30.
Yep, 6:30. Okay, let's call the next meeting to order. Road District Public Budget Hearing for the Mchenry Township Road and District Road and Bridge Fund. It's a word mouthful, huh? Okay, do we have a first and a second to, oh, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting. Public comment on this. Is there any public comment on the Mchenry Township Road District Road and Bridge Fund? Okay, one more time, any public comment? Okay, none being heard, we're gonna move on. May I have a motion to, for adoption of this ordinance, 190618?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Anderson, do I have a second? Second. Seconded by Mr. Rakestraw. Any discussion on this?
All right, man.
and likewise, Mr. Chairman, nothing has been added or subtracted from the last meeting.
Nothing has been added or subtracted since the last meeting.
Okay.
Okay. If everybody's, no further discussion, let's have a roll call vote. We'll start the opposite end. Mr. Beard.
Yes.
Mr. Wojcicki? Yes. Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Rakestraw? Yes. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Okay, passes. Need a motion for adjournment.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Rakestraw for adjournment. I'll second the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None? Okay, we stand adjourned until 7 p.m. for our special meeting. Oh, sure.
Yeah, I know.
Remind me now.
This one.
I'll look at the clock.
Where's your wife? Now, you gotta, you're going to go to the doctor's appointment this week then, or just?
Yeah, no, tomorrow. Downers Grove.
Oh, how's it dry?
Yeah, it's terrible.
There was a loop.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I have one doctor that wanted to do.
Hey, where?
Glenview, that's probably the shortest distance from Memphis.
Yeah. But you can't get there from here.
Yeah, that's what I told him. Yeah. Yeah, and you know, it's just, I just felt like there's another doctor that's just gonna go, I don't know. Why go down there and spend the money? At least you're getting some answers. Right?
Yeah. He's the guy that did some surgery on her vocal cords because she lost her voice. Yeah, so he kind of fixed that. So.
Even if she wasn't, I would learn to do it. I don't
Mama's Township. 3 minutes per speaker. Right. She was smiling, sitting there. She's just. You know, like I even said to Marilyn, I took her to the doctor. Marilyn, turn on. She's having trouble upstairs. And I just looked at her, she goes, I know, it's hard. And I said, it's hard for me watching girls because I've known you for so forever. And here, you know, how many people there? It's hard. But, you know, well, it happens.
Did you know they eliminated the newsletter because of money? What? I know. They have a very different yeah, he does too, yeah. I got it from the, finance book. Talking to Mary. You are welcome. Just how I cried because you know me working hard. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say that something? Barb and Dad and I are already here.
You talking to yourself?
Yeah, it's up to you.
Or me?
All right. What? What you said? Yeah, I know, but I wasn't sure if you really wanted to go, and I wasn't sure what time.
Thank you.
You don't have to. There's people out there, and I just put another post on Facebook to try to get more people to come, so. Sharon Nye is here too. Yeah, Missy's supposed to be here, and, I forgot who else, but we'll see. Yeah, one of the other bus drivers is here, and one of the other passengers that goes with the dance. All right. I will. I forgot to call the girl. Oh. So she's gonna come? No, she said if there's a vote, she'll give her a call and she'll come. No, that's their budget. That's what's telling them what, you know, what it costs per ride.
I'm in a meeting, so I'll have to cut it short.
You know what? Per ride, $15. But it's taken out of our taxes too. Out of our taxes, so. See, total cost per parcel per year, $7.67. That's a year. That's a year. Yeah. Okay, they spend more than that. Yep, okay. Yeah. And here's the mileage. I know. We have donations, which you have to pay for. And here's where they go. I mean, we're not talking anything. Dentist, dialysis, dentist, specialist, chiropractor. Well, you can tell, people need the bus from the place. See, they'll bring her there. So what time you getting up to say? Well, usually give them a that's terrible. That's terrible, because they know, pick up Ralph at 10:20. They're there, right there. There's no problem. He's at dialysis sometime. I've never drink. Yeah, it'll be even more helpful if you keep depending on them on a regular basis, like. Even when you do vote, there was a man out there that has a sign that says, if they cancel the bus, township bus, call the trustees for Friday. Oh, yeah, that's right. No kidding. For the township bus, it used to be $1 and raised it to $2. There was a lady at Clearwater. There was
She's a good friend. Very nice.
Signed up? Oh, yes, ma'am. Oh, yes.
And then some.
You want to say?
Did you sign? Did you sign in to speak?
Oh, yeah.
All right. You have to sign in to speak. Did you sign? I got it done. I read it. They do that drawing, or they do the drawing.
See, I'm like, I took it.
Pardon me?
Yeah, that's the first drawing.
Oh. They're $5 a piece now. There's specific days. And we go on July every week there's going to be a tab is only $10. Jackson is $10. Canes are $15. Any queen is $25. And jokers to try to $30. And so they only sell on certain days. Monday no, Wednesday no, Friday. And now it's a 6 or
you're gonna vote, we have to vote date.
I'll just yell it out. There's water up here. If anybody wants a bottle of water, help yourself. It's getting kind of warm in here. We'll turn the air conditioning down. Shift the game. Come in glass, grab a bottle of water if you like one.
Yeah, we never have it. And then
Probably cut it out of the budget.
he also we don't have the genuine capable yeah, you gotta raise it and then raise it. So what happens? You gotta at least give it something. Otherwise, people find out it's they're not even
Okay, I'll let you go. Thank you. Thank you. You got banks, you got churches, you Every time now I think of that Reno 911, like, that's where
Okay, the time is 7 p.m. Call the meeting to order. Stand and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Public comment sheet. Okay. Okay. Let's see if someone turns it That's the someone keeps turning our switch off. I don't know who it is. All right, first portion of our meeting is public comment. I want to remind everybody it's limited to 3 minutes. And please, when you come to the podium, please clearly state your name and your address for the record. Okay, the first person I have signed up right now is John Macrito. John?
Thank you. I'm going to state the obvious. We're here today to discuss the elimination of the Mchenry Township senior bus service. Unfortunately, not everyone using this bus service has a friend, neighbor, or a relative that can help them get around, or simply when driving themselves is no longer an option. The senior bus program helps them get around town to various appointments, or simply drop them off to get food, prescriptions, or visit a friend at the senior center. In other words, it's about quality of life for many. The other day, Mr. Craig Adams suggested putting the issue on the ballot, along with the electors to make the final decision. And what was wrong with that idea? I don't understand what makes this township board feel they are above the voice of the people. Prove to us it can be done more efficiently. It's all rhetoric at this point. We all want to save taxpayer monies, but let's be logical and thorough. This is too important of an issue to many, many people. However, to your credit, I do believe you're trying to save taxpayers' money. It's your approach that is beyond normal thinking. This board has touched upon a very sensitive nerve close to all of us. It's apparent to by all the discussion on social media and the voices here today. In your effort not only to eliminate the township, road district, now the senior bus program, this board has, in fact, created more interest in preserving local government than ever. We do have a voice and intend on using it loudly and clearly. It speaks to your credit, the beauty and the stupidity of this board. If you play with fire often enough to get burned by fire, I urge you to vote no and let the electors make the decision. Thank you.
Okay, the next person on my sheet is Pat Diedrich.
My name is Pat Diedrich, 7502 South Drive in Wonder Lake. I have been a McHenry County resident for many, many years. And we didn't need the service in the beginning because we were young. But now it is a necessity. My husband has dialysis due to Agent Orange. And a lot of his veteran friends all have Agent Orange. And eventually we'll all be in the same boat. He needs dialysis 3 times a week, no matter what. And we depend on that bus to pick him up, and they're always on time, and deliver him on time when he's due at the dialysis center. If it wasn't for that bus, it would be a great burden on all of us trying to find rides, especially when the children all work and it's up to us. So reconsider, please, the use of the township bus. The majority of us all need it, especially the handicapped and the veterans. And if you have any other concerns, then you can speak to us. I'm an officer. I was president of the VFW Auxiliary. I'm an officer in the Cooties, and I'm a member of the American Legion. And we have enough veterans in McHenry County that definitely need this service. Thank you.
Next person is David Irk, I believe the name is.
Barbara Burke? Is it Barbara Burke?
No, David.
David Irk, 5214 Amber Lane, Johnsburg / the Sticky Islands, Illinois. Hello, my name is David Irk. I am unable to drive to work due to my autism. Therefore, I take the township bus Monday through Friday to and from work for the district. I've used this service for 5 years. If I do not have this service, then I will If I do not have this service, I will be unable to get to my job and will lose my employment that I've worked for 7 years. Thank you.
Next I have Terry Wilson.
Hi, my name is Terry Wilson. We live in Mchenry, 5112 West Winding Creek. This is my daughter, Jamie. She's 23 years old. She works at the Jewel. She's been there for 2 years. She does not drive. She has cerebral palsy. She relies on the township bus to get her to Jewel. Trying to get a transfer, we work until 4 o'clock. Trying to get a PACE bus home is ridiculous. I've been told time and time again to get a subscription. I've gotten a subscription with the township, which accommodates us and gets her to Jewel. I cannot get a bus home. I cannot get a subscription. I've been waiting 8 months to get her to get home. How are these kids going to do it? She has kids, she has friends that have graduated, that work at the Myers, work at the Walmart, work at the Jewel, work at Goodwill. How do you expect these kids to get around? I'm a single mom and I can't do it on my own. Please keep the buses.
Vanessa?
Right here.
I'll try and make this quick. All I can say is shame on you. In 2 days, I'm going to be 84 years old. Of that 84 years, 79 have been here in Mchenry. I've gone through the school system. I've raised 4 wonderful children. I bought a home. I paid taxes. What I want all of you to do is take a look at me. Then take a look at this crowd out here. Take a look at the senior citizens and the handicapped. And then tell us that we're not worth $8 a year, 70 cents a month. I will finish that again, begging you to please listen to everybody and look at everybody and then search your souls. 70 cents a month. Come on. Thank you.
Next, I have Doris Keppel.
My name is Doris Capel. I live at 5722 East Lakeshore Drive, Winter Lake. And I want to know if any of you trustees would transport patients to dialysis and do not eliminate the township bus because it's an excellent service, the staff is great, and they're very, very dependable. And if you call PACE, you never know when you're going to get to appointments for doctors or when you're going to get home. And you can be on the bus for 2-3 hours at a time. And we need the township. And I'd like to know how many of you would consider volunteering taking patients to dialysis or doctor appointments where they get there on time.
Next I have, there's no name here, 4713 Greenwood Road. Oh, I'm sorry, did I see your name on the bottom? Bob, please give your address when you get up.
She cannot see.
Oh.
My name is Barbara Burke, and my address is 4713 Greenwood Road. I live in Woodstock, but for 32 years, I lived in McHenry. And I used the bus all the time because I am considered legally blind. And if it wasn't for the bus, I wouldn't get to half the places I wanted to go. I come to the senior center for lunches, and I belong to the Crafty Hookers, and we work for the veterans, doing things. And I think that it's a shame that the board doesn't think more of its elderly, because most of us have been living here for years, trying to, and now that we can't drive, and there's a lot of disabled people in here that can't drive. And it's nice to get the bus, even though it costs $2 each time you get on it. It would cost you $30 to take a cab somewhere, or a Hoover. And I think it's a shame that after all the years these people, everybody's been working here in McHenry to get it going and stuff, that now when we need the help, the board doesn't want to help us. So please, keep the bus service. Thank you.
Okay, next I have a Rhonda Sporer.
That's me.
Okay, I'm speaking for my mother. She's 86 years old, going to be 87 soon, but we won't tell her that. Anyhow, her one social life thing is taking the Pace bus and going to the senior center. I'm not always around to do it. I have a full-time job. She has Alzheimer's. One of these days, she needs that bus. She was so upset, and believe me, she doesn't read the newspaper that much. She came running and said, Rhonda, they're taking away my Pace bus. I said, Mom, relax, I'm not going to do it. I'll be here and I'll speak for you. One of the things that scares me, we do not have the luxury of 16 friends, as somebody said when they came in. We don't have a family unit in living in town with us. Alzheimer's can go from family to family. I don't know if it's hereditary or not. One of these days, I'm going to need that bus service. I don't have anybody to take care of me. I'm not married, I don't have kids. I'm scared for my future that I won't be able to get around. It can happen to you. You may not have people to take care of you, to help you. This Pace bus, or not the Pace bus, but the senior bus system is a lifeline. They make sure that my mom gets on the bus, they make sure she knows where she's going. The people at the senior center are also a lifeline, and that's how my mom gets there, is using this bus system. Please, when they're thinking for the schools to help the schools, I said, Mom, we have to do this. The students need, the schools don't. I didn't think twice of this. We both voted for it. I feel that we can take care of our children, we can take care of our seniors too.
Lynn Swig? Lynn, are you here?
She's rolling over.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Mchenry, and that's a good idea. I'm on Redwood in Mchenry, and I'm basically talking about a friend of mine who the bus comes in there and pushes her wheelchair to the bus. They go in the house. She can't do it herself anymore. She's 88 years old and she's in real bad shape. You guys have given her the ability to go to the doctors. If she doesn't have it, she's going to die. She needs this township bus very bad, and I'd appreciate it if you keep it. Thank you.
Mary Ann Bach? Oh, I can skip, okay. Barb Williams.
address is 4406 West Shore Drive in McHenry. My sister was 79 years old, and before we found out there was a township senior bus, my husband, my brother-in-law, and I were taking her to the doctor appointments. I'm 75 years old, my husband is 80 years old, my brother-in-law is 79. My sister was 79 years old. It would take the three of us a half hour to get her from the house into a car. And then it took time to take her to the doctor. Coming home, it would take another half hour for us to get her out of the car, into her wheelchair, and back into the house. We found out about the township bus. We called. The gentleman was so kind to us and said, "What is the zip code?" 60051. He said, "We will pick her up and take her to the appointments." From then on, it was saving our bodies, our old bodies, the ability to have to take her back and forth to the doctor. It was a wonderful service, and I would hate to see that ever end for any senior, any invalid, anybody with a disability to not have that bus. Please, please reconsider. Thank you.
Terry Capel? Yes, sir.
Good evening. Terry Capel, 3710 West Mill Stream, McHenry. I'm here to say, let the voters decide. Why is it? Why should three township trustees have the power to take away a vital service that hundreds of people use every month? Let the voters decide in a referendum. I can attest at being somebody who's disabled, on disability. My mother's on disability. I've had to take the MC ride, the PACE bus, and the township bus in the past. And I can tell you the township bus service is far better. The MC bus, the MC ride, which is the countywide bus service, Dial-A-Ride service, is much less efficient. You call up, you may or may not get a ride to and from where you want to go the next day. If you do, you may have to take an hour or 2 hours to get home or to get to your destination. And what if you need that ride to get to a job or an appointment for a doctor and you don't show up in time? Why do three trustees on the township trustee board get to decide that? Let us vote. Let the voters decide.
Robert Beltran?
Robert Beltran, 2814 Regner Road, McHenry, Illinois. I'm fortunate. I don't need to use a township bus. Maybe when I get old, I will. But, and we never know from day to day when we're going to need it. Maybe the folks sitting on the board don't feel that they will ever need it. Maybe they're sufficiently wealthy, privileged, whatever, have a lot of social connections. Maybe they won't ever need it. It doesn't mean everyone fits that mold. Last time I was here, I mentioned the assisted living place in town, the new Heritage Woods, and a lot of people there take the township bus to go to the doctor's office because many of them are disabled, and it really helps them to have the transport. I also visited the new low-income veterans housing that was just constructed that is still filling up in McHenry by Veterans Park. This is a facility for disabled veterans, and so I don't know whether that the fact that the township bus was available to them was a factor in locating that facility in Mchenry. But, you know, I think that our veterans, our disabled veterans who are now going to be in this new facility, will be disadvantaged if they discover they can't get out and go to the doctor, the pharmacy, or whatever else that they might need. Looking at the sheet that was, one of the sheets that was handed out here, I see that there were 12,572 trips. 22% of them are to the doctor. 22% of them are for shopping and the pharmacy. Now, and then 21% of them are nonprofit, which, looking through the sheets, says they're going to their churches. Taking away the bus severely impedes their ability to practice the freedom of religion. And I really hate to see people losing those connections. But I did also see that there were 2% of them that were going to the jewelers. So I suppose there are some superfluous trips out of those 12,572. Anyway, I implore you, please don't take this away from people who need it. I feel that I'm prepaying because that day may come when I need it. And I'm willing to pay my, I think $7.82 a year to prepay for that service when my time comes. Thank you.
Janet Michaels, or Michael?
Michael.
My name is Janet Michael, 4721 Oregon Trail in Mchenry. I am here to represent the seniors of Heritage Woods Senior Living Community in Mchenry. Heritage Woods of Mchenry is a 100-apartment senior living community that houses 102 people that are 65 years and older. Of those 102 seniors, 95% participate in a special supportive living Medicaid program through the state of Illinois that helps seniors of all income levels stay independent as long as possible. Each month, these seniors, when all is said and done financially, they are left with $90. This $90 does not go a long way for anyone in today's world. So with that $90, our residents put towards a basic phone and TV package. Just those two services that provide them with some sort of connection to the outside world, a service that none of us would go without or would want to go without, costs them $55 a month. So now they're down to $35 a month. The $35 is for other incidentals, such as toothpaste, soap, shampoo, toilet paper, laundry detergent, a haircut. These are all things that we all need when we live in an apartment. Thank goodness Heritage Woods can feed the seniors through the state's special funding. Not everyone has a family that can help out. Not everyone has a person that they can count on to come and help them. So every little bit of money counts for these seniors. Heritage Woods does have some transportation services available, but it is very limited. Planned shopping trips and one day designated for rides to doctor's appointments are available. The trips are on certain days and certain times. The spots fill up fast. After all, we're looking at 102 people that need to take care of their personal business. Our seniors depend on the services that are offered by a city that supports and cares about its people. Our seniors depend on these programs. They want to be able to call the township bus so they can do what they have to do at their convenience. We appreciate the fact that the bus fare is a donation. If our seniors have a great month and they have the donation, they make the donation. But it is sure nice if it's not a good month for them financially that they can still ride the bus and get to the places that they need to go. It is a difficult time for everyone, I'm sure, but it is especially difficult for our senior citizens. Our seniors at Heritage Woods have already had to give up their homes and their cars due to their financial difficulties and health difficulties. That alone can make a person very depressed and feel very isolated. Jeopardizing their need to stay as independent as possible when they are already limited in what they can and can't do would be devastating. Please don't take away any more from them. I want to be proud of the city that I live and work in, knowing that the officials care for all of its people, young and old. Not all of the community's seniors are tech savvy or can afford to be. Some people still have to go to stores, so please keep the bus.
Cindy Jacob.
My name is Cindy Jacob at 3718 Hamlin Drive in Johnsburg. I didn't know Janet was going to be here, but my mother is a resident at Heritage Woods. She is on Medicaid, and she always pays that donation. So she will plan her budget to be able to provide for her transportation to go shopping, to church. She called me when this bus driver told her that they were going to stop this program in tears. Her and all of her lady friends go out to the stores. Some of them go to the park concerts. And my mom has MS, and she is in a special wheelchair that the senior bus for Heritage Woods cannot take her in. There are 100 and something residents there that if they are in any sort of motorized wheelchairs, their bus cannot take them. And they are only allowed so many wheelchair patients per ride. So if they are going to Walmart and you don't get signed up fast enough, you can't take the bus if you're in a wheelchair. So this township program has been a lifeline for my mom. And I know, I'm there too, none of us are getting any younger, and I bet you there's going to come a day that someone up here is going to need a service similar to this. So please don't take it away from them. That's their freedom.
Next I have Bonnie Bain.
I'm Bonnie Bainey, 1401 Draper Road. And I think it's really unfortunate that we're all in this room once again watching this board make irrational decisions without a plan. Woo! As elected officials, I think it's our job to consider what our constituents want. I think it's always very apparent what the constituents want in this room, and very rarely is it influencing our Board of Trustees. That said, while it's their job to create the plan, I just recently retired from the Board for Senior Care Volunteer Network, which is a group of volunteers that help senior citizens throughout McHenry County get to various appointments that they have. That could be an opportunity to fill in if the bus service was terminated. So I called the executive director today and asked her if this was going to be a solution should we lose this service in our township. Her response to me was they can no longer take anybody in their program. They have hundreds of volunteers and still can't get these individuals to their doctor's appointments and to the other appointments that they need to go to. This is going to put a tremendous burden on one of the largest nonprofit organizations in the county that serves seniors. They're already turning people away. So without a plan, without actually doing the homework on your own, which is what we all expect of you, by the way, it is level to take away a service without finding out what the needs in our community are and what other options people will have. So like everyone in this room, I ask you to keep the bus service, or at least create a plan and find an alternative to make sure we're taking care of the members of our community.
I have Brian Mchenry.
Good evening. My name is Brian Mchenry. I'm a lifelong resident of Wonder Lake, 4820 East Wonder Lake Road. I come tonight to strongly urge the board to vote against taking this senior bus program away. Nobody plans to be disabled. I did not. One day I was taking 3-mile walks with my wife. The next day I was in a wheelchair. Someday you guys might be disabled. You don't know.
Yes.
Let me tell you. No senior citizen ever planned to have their driver's license revoked due to medical reasons. One day they're driving, next day their license is taken away, and now they can no longer go places they want to go by themselves. Might happen to you someday. Nobody ever planned on being impoverished. Many of the residents in Mchenry Township are. The senior bus program provides these people with the ability to be independent, to go shopping, to go meet their medical appointments, to go to church, to go many places. It's their lifeline to the outside. I would like to know how much you guys are going to save me and my tax bill. Since I pay only $57 in total to the township. I'm sure you did a study on this. So you are here to serve us.
Yes.
This is why you're sitting there to serve us and everybody else in Mchenry Township. To eliminate this valuable program is not only disrespectful to our disabled and senior citizens, it's downright cruel.
Yes. Yes.
Honestly, I don't know how you come up with these ideas.
I agree.
You just sit around having coffee one day and say, well, what are we going to do to make our senior citizens and disabled people angry and make their lives harder? I don't know why we're even here having a talk about this. To me, it's outlandish. And it's shameful that we should even be here talking about this.
Absolutely.
Okay, next I have Sue Lawmeyer.
Good evening. My name is Sue Lawmeyer. I live at 4013 Boone Creek Circle in Mchenry. I'm here this evening. I thought I was only going to be here to be a listener, but I did sign up to speak. As some of you know, I served the city of McHenry for 14 years as mayor. So I have sat in your seats. And I'm not here to be disrespectful in any way. I'm here to say, I understand that when you're an elected official, you're called upon sometimes to make decisions that aren't popular. I get that. What I don't understand is what the benefit of this decision would be. And again, I'm saying that I know that you have hard decisions to make sometimes, but your constituents have shown up. They've come to you and they have stated their case eloquently, clearly, respectfully, and I'm here to do the same thing. I'm asking you, please, don't take away our independence. Please don't take away our opportunities, and please don't take away our dignity. You were elected to serve all of us that live in this township. We may agree with you sometimes, we may not agree with you sometimes. That goes with the job that you've accepted. In this case, though, I just cannot see that there is a good side to this. It's not going to benefit anyone, including you, really. So I implore you, please, think about this decision. I think one of the most important responsibilities of an elected official is to be able to listen to everyone's point of view. And sometimes that might mean you need to change your mind. You need to listen to your constituents, and you need to have the courage to say, hey, maybe in this instance, I'm wrong. Maybe this isn't the best way to do this. Rethink this. This is not in the best interest of our township. I feel so strongly about that. I thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. I applaud anyone who is willing to serve public office. It can be a very thankless job, I understand that. But I'm asking you, please, don't do this. Rethink this. It's not in the best interest of our residents. Thank you.
Next, I have Steve Murgatroyd.
My name is Steve Murgatroyd. I live at 3911 Boone Creek Circle, McHenry. Once upon a time, I was on the city council of McHenry. I was the chairman of the finance committee for 12 years. I understand the difficulties there is to balance a budget and to make sure what is needed and what makes sense. However, in this case, I have looked at this for a couple of weeks now, and I still don't see how this is not a good / excellent use of taxpayer funds. It makes no sense at all to take away people's independence and their ability to be able to socialize with people of the community. One, it helps people in the community to be aware of what people are going through. Two, it helps the people that are going through that to be able to be part of the community, to feel that they're part of a bigger whole, which helps them with health, their mental health, physical health, et cetera, et cetera. There are a couple of studies that say that that's all positive. So taking this away makes no sense. You're talking about people that's going to doctors, going shopping, nonprofit, which, by the way, about 13% of that is coming to the senior center here. Work transportation. That's 75% of the rides. Those seem to be very necessary type of rides to be given. Pace doesn't provide the same services. It's been documented. And also, this is not an urban area. This service is a necessity for many people to be able to keep their independence and dignity. It's not like the city of Chicago where you can pick up a bus, you know, anywhere, even one of the larger cities closer to the city, in Evanston or Oak Park or something. Those, you do not, those amenities are not available. This is the amenity that they have. This is what is needed for them. I mean, as far as I can tell you, that help people help themselves so that they can be included as part of the fabric of this community. You want to exclude that many people? I mean, why don't you cut the soul out of the place? I mean, that's so I'm just asking you to reconsider what you're doing. I'd be happy to help you try and find another place to cut $189,000.
Next one is Carol Pershey.
I wish I were going to be as kind as Sue.
My name is Carol Pershey. I live at 5114 Northwestwood Drive, Mchenry, unincorporated. Trustees, particularly Mr. Anderson, did you ever explain why you're a taxpayer? You live in Wonder Lake waterfront. Years ago, did a major home addition. Assessment and taxes increased, which you didn't like. You battle the township, not the schools, who take the largest amount of the taxes. While you enjoy watching the water go by, some seniors need this bus as a lifeline. You and your team were elected on the basis of cutting taxes. I once provided you a report showing your area had one of the highest tax rates in the township because of the taxing districts, including the SSAs. Your tax bill would have been less if you lived in a different part of the township. Trustee Stan, last week you reminded your group campaigning that telling seniors the cuts would not hurt them. Thank you. Stick to your guns, vote your conscience, and no matter who tries to talk you out of it. Thank you. Last week, I gave you information that 28% of our residential properties were occupied by lower income seniors who qualified for the senior freeze exemption. How many more seniors live and rent, no car, who depend on this bus for their method of transportation? Instead of this being one of your pet cuts because you think it's a Cadillac, I quote, item, I want to remind you that most of the people you represent don't live on waterfront property whose home had a significant addition. Think of what they need, well, not what you want. But a quick idea, people want to have their say. I believe in today's technology, something could be set up on the Facebook to allow people to vote. Yes or no? Would you pay an extra $10 a year? Set it up so that only one person can vote one time. But that is an option. And years ago we did this on the, it was successfully done on the mosquito abatement program. People grumbled about it. We asked, would you pay this amount a year for the mosquito? And they overwhelmingly said yes. That would give people an opportunity to vote. Thank you.
Yeah.
I believe it's Lorraine Kubik. Kubiak, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Good evening. My name is Lorraine Kubiak, 5012 West Greenbrier Drive, McHenry. Been pleasantly
a citizen here for almost 40 years, and I love it here. And I love McHenry Township. Society and public servants are judged by how they treat our most vulnerable citizens. And this is a poor example of how we are going to treat veterans, disabled, temporarily disabled, possibly due to automobile accidents or injuries, and our senior citizens. I respectfully request that you really give this discernment and wisdom and take a look at this and consider the effect and the ripple effect it will have on people. So I'm asking you, please, don't take away the township bus service. By the way, to compare it to McRide, Dial-A-Ride, or Pace, you're missing the point totally. My husband drove for all of those three services, and you're comparing apples to giraffes. They're two entirely different things. So please, don't take away the township bus service. And then I have a question. I wonder what next is going to be on the chopping block. Perhaps McHenry Township Fire Protection District. Thank you.
Marty Swanson.
My name is Marty Swanson. I live at 5615 North Ridgeway Road in Redwood. I've been in this township for 52 years, by the way, and I've never used the bus service. No member of my family has used the bus service, but I am so glad that it is there. Looking at your stats, I see that more than 1,200 trips were for people going to dialysis treatment. My husband was on dialysis for 5.5 years, which is an unusually long time. The last year and a half, he couldn't drive anymore, and so I had to take him those 3 days a week. And obviously that had an impact on what I was doing as well. But I'm glad I was able to do it. Nobody's there to take me, should I be in that position. And I think this is a very valuable service that the township provides for its citizens, its taxpayers. And so I hope the board will reconsider and keep our bus service. Thank you.
Ronnie Raber.
My name's Ron Reber, 3916 West Avenue in McHenry here. I come here on behalf of my former commander, Ralph Dietrich. I followed Ralph 6 years as a commander of the VFW. I'm also a member of the American Legion and the Polish Legion of American Veterans. I know for Ralph, this is very important. And I think veterans are very important to me, and I think this here large crowd, this community also feels it's not only good for veterans, but it's good for the community also. I run the bingo at the VFW for the last 9 years, actually 8, but I've been participating 9. And a lot of people there are seniors, and they need something to connect to. And I know our post, I'd rather be at the Queen of Hearts tonight, but you know where I'm at. This is more important than the Queen of Hearts. But I know those ladies and gentlemen really depend on that. And we have curtailed our events on Sunday bingo. And the crowds were very much vehemently upset with this. And obviously, there's a lot of people upset at you folks here. And I feel for you, I really do. I pray that you will have the wisdom to listen to all these people and discern what is best. I'm not trying to lower my taxes from the Mchenry Township. I think it's reasonable, and I think $7 a year for this, I don't think $7 less for me is going to make me any better. I'd rather give it to the veterans, my friend.
Next, I have Jim Lavin. I'm sorry, it's Tim Lavin, excuse me.
You're gonna have to forgive me, I'm not great with public speaking. I am currently a driver at the township. But I am also formerly a driver at Pace, First Transit here in Mchenry. And I can tell you, a lot of people have said comparing Pace and Township are completely different. And they are. Pace is a door-to-door service, which means if you can't get out to the street, Pace is a street-to-door service, which means if you can't get out to the street, we can't pick you up. They can't pick you up. We go and do the most that we can to pick up everybody that we can. We provide services that Pace doesn't. We pick up people who Pace can't because they're outside of their service area. I know at least 4 people that we pick up who go to medical services that Pace has refused to pick up because they're outside of their service area. I've listened to people on the bus, and I've had one of them tell me that they ran out of oxygen because they had her on the bus for 2.5 hours going from one side of Mchenry to the other. I've had people on the bus for 2.5 hours going from one side to the other with Pace, and it's not something that's fun, but it's because they're understaffed and overtaxed, and if Township goes away, they're going to be even more hard pressed to serve the community. That's about it. Thank you.
Mike Toller.
Mike Toller, 7511 Hickory Trail, Wonder Lake. So I know I'm somewhere near the end because I was kind of at the end of the line there. We've seen all these people that came before us today. Not one person has said, yes, do this. Not one person has said, yes, this is the best one. Those that need this service most aren't going to be able to be here in this audience tonight, are they? So here, I stand before you, a 35-year-old, relatively healthy, if not just in weight, male, to speak on their behalf. Judging by most of this board and your political leanings, I'm going to take a wild guess that most of you, when it came to talking about the ACA, were on the side where you were afraid of the death panels. You have become that death panel if you vote to get rid of this. You have an obligation, not just as the township, but to the Constitution. We the people in the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common's defense, promote the general welfare. Is that how it is? country what's called a social contract theory, that we all work together, that we all strive together, that by working together and helping your neighbor, you are helping yourself, and we all rise together to make that happen. That is what that money goes to from my tax dollars, from my property tax, is to help all of these people. My wife and I don't have any kids, we don't plan to have any kids, but that doesn't mean that I don't agree with needing to pay for schools, because when I get old, those kids will be running the country, and I want them to be able to do basic maths and figure out sciences. You're not going to hear me go, hey, no, I'm not paying for schools, I'm not using them, I don't have any kids. Every single one of these people in here, their story today, if your heart is not moved by that, you have a stone cold heart. Say that churches and family can help you. Not everybody here has that kind of a social network. That's a luxury. That's a nice thing to have. I've known plenty of people out there. I have a friend who lives over in Crystal Lake who doesn't have that kind of support network, who's in a wheelchair. But me and my friends, when we get a chance, we can get out there and we can give them a hand. But we work from every day. We're not always going to get anywhere, so it winds up wheeling everywhere. You ever seen you ever wonder how hard it is to wheel through the snow in the streets in the winter?
Yes.
And he's a young guy. He was born with a problem. Even Boy Scouts know that you need to help an old lady across the street.
Next I have, I believe it's a Carrie Barber?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Carrie Barber. I live at 85 Fairfield Lane in Cary. I am not a resident of Mchenry, but I am disabled. I am almost completely blind, as well as some other things we won't go into. So I feel strongly about this particular issue because I'm not in my 70s or 80s, and I can't drive. I still want to be a contributing member of society. And I had this big long speech, but I sat here for an hour and watched your neighbors with such passionate pleas, your veterans. And then I watched you guys sit here and ignore them. I gotta say, I can't see much, but I can see that you were so unmoved. And Mr. Beers, I don't know what you're scribbling over there, but you've got to have a damn near Picasso by now. It's just so it's obvious you do not care about the people in your own community. Since it's obvious you don't care about your own veterans, I'm going to turn this around and start asking questions. We just had Memorial Day. When you were out celebrating, did you tell our veterans that you were going to do this? Did this ever come up? Is this how you were going to honor them? So your own packet lists all of these businesses here, local businesses, job creators, that have been visited by your own community members. Each and every one of these is a transaction, and you're not tracking where somebody went after they got dropped off. There could be multiple transactions here. Where is the cost-benefit analysis for all of that revenue? So, and I'm a member of this county, and I pay these insane property taxes, and I know you do too. So what happens to all of these businesses if they don't have the revenue from the people who can come to their stores, and they lose their revenue, they lose their business, and your property taxes go up? Yeah. Did you do that analysis? So then, talking to other people who happen to agree with you, some of the objections that came up were, well, you should be a responsible adult, and you should plan your budget accordingly. I paid taxes on my earnings that went into my disability account. I pay taxes on my disability check every month.
I know you do. So this is where your investment goes, so that you can bring that money back into your community, create jobs, help with the revenue, and help bring your collective property taxes down. Because if you don't, you're going to start affecting mine on the other side of the county. So please, would you please pay attention to your own residents and everyone here, as well as the financials. Thank you.
David Trust, Pierre Orsty.
Trust it is.
Hi there, Dave Trost, 414 North Shepherd Hill Lane in Mchenry. I didn't expect to be moved so much by everything that everybody said. I got overclumped listening to all the stories and seeing all the people having the courage to come up here and speak. When I saw the cost of this was a mighty $7.68 friggin' cents out of my taxes, who cares? You can have my $7.68. So for that, please consider keeping this because we really need it. And I'll keep it short. That's it.
Jenny Farley.
Hi, I'm Jenny Farley, and I live in Crystal Lake, but I work in Mchenry for the Center for Independent Living that serves McHenry and Lake County. I'm here to talk to you and about what everybody else is here to talk about, and I do want to say I've been very moved to hear the passion when we are also an advocacy organization, and to see so many people show up, it's rare. So I sure do hope you guys listen. This program has been in place for over 20 years. And, we're, as a Center for Independent Living that serves people with disabilities and seniors, we're happy to see government organizations try to be fiscally responsible. But, perhaps you should put your decision in front of your constituents and allow them to have an opportunity to vote on what they think is best for them. And like many people have stated, but for the grace of God, do us that don't need the bus and are able to get transportation for ourselves or for family, but so you never know if you're going to join that population, because anybody can join the disability population at any time. It's the only minority that doesn't have, that you can join at any time, sorry. And as a lot of people have stated here, being able to access the community is what helps people stay independent and have quality of life. Through working, through being able to shop, get their jewelry cleaned. I think somebody cleaned the jewelry shop. Things like that. Those are all very important things. I don't have anybody judging what I do with my time every day. And then also, you haven't put anything else in place. I am also the chairperson of the Public Transportation Advisory Committee for the Mchenry County that talks to the DOT. And I can say that MC Ride and what you do here are not the same. Many people have already delineated the differences, but your senior transportation here is door to door. Your drivers help people get into their homes. They help them get into their appointments. MC Ride is curb to curb. When it is snowing, the person that just came from Jewel with their packages are going to have to figure out how to get them to their door by themselves. And the person who is using a wheelchair isn't going to get someone to help them to the door. With MC Ride, they are only going to be dropped off at the curb. And, to you, maybe it's hard to imagine a life that is dependent on public transportation. But there are so many people out there who have wonderful, valuable lives that need that service. And to think that you can just end something and ask the Senior Care Volunteer Network, MC Ride, and all the other places that provide transportation to pick up, I believe it's over 12,000 rides a year, is unconscionable and will definitely, like other people have stated, have to ride for people coming from dialysis will have to potentially be on the bus for over 2 hours. And we do work with people that are in dialysis, and I can tell you they don't have the energy to sit there for 2 hours on the bus. Or somebody who is trying to be a tax-paying citizen and go to work and having to stay on the bus for over 2 hours after they've done Joel. Anyway, thank you. Thank you.
Jamie Rous, R-O-U-S, Rous.
Hi everybody, my name is Jamie Rouse. I live at 2017 North Pebble Drive in Mchenry, unincorporated, and I wanted to tell you a story about my grandfather. My grandfather, after several years, started taking the senior bus to the senior center because there was a couple of fender benders and we didn't really trust him or anything. He did live alone, he was kind of a hermit, and the senior center was his only way of socializing with people, which believe me, if you knew my grandfather, you'd be like, wow, he socialized with people. But he actually did go out there and do that. He did it consistently. Whenever the bus was there, every day, every other day, I can't remember what his schedule was. One day, the bus went to go pick him up and he wasn't there. And this was unusual. So the bus driver called my mother. My father went over to the house and found my grandfather on the floor because he had a stroke. My dad actually had to push the door to get in there and save my grandfather. So when they talk about this being a lifeline, this literally saved my grandfather's life. So it was nice to see some of the drivers here today because I know that me, my father, and my sister, who all own houses in Mchenry Township, will pay $8 a year for the next 100 years to pay back that driver for saving my grandfather's life. I wanted to try to get into 2 other points. My first one is when I saw that only 12,500 rides had been used, we are underutilizing this resource. We need to go out there and promote it. I mean, at $2 a ride, we can offset some of that cost, right? You know, maybe even hire another driver, get some more people going around. You know, I mean, there are other ways to look at this. I mean, this is a great thing to promote for our community, to have people come in and move here. Hey, they have a bus that drives people around if they need it. They can't get around. That's great. I love Mchenry Township. It sounds great. The other thing is, this is the second time that I've been in a meeting, and while I like seeing Mrs. Mahady and Mr. Condon and everybody else, you know, I'm really tired of the cutting of the services. When I look at my budget, and I'm like, oh, my cell phone bill is too high, I don't just get rid of my cell phone. I start shopping around, looking at what the other carriers might have. The same thing with cable. And I mean, yes, everyone's taxes they feel are too high. But when you start asking them to cut their services, they start to realize that maybe it's not so bad. So I really would like to see this township board stop cutting the services. Look into making better choices with the budget, with what we have, and work on it from that way. And then we can actually make some progress here in our township. Thank you.
I have a Susan, I'm going to not do well at this last name, Wurzel? I apologize.
Suzanne Warzala, 1416 West River Terrace. I've been a resident of Johnsburg for over 50 years. My dad has been a resident of Johnsburg for over 80 years and a veteran that actually needs this service. I agree with so many people here in regard to letting the voters decide if that's an option. I urge you guys to vote with the seniors and allow this service to continue because, like everybody has said, this is such a lifeline. You've heard over and over again how important this is to our residents, and I believe it's worth every single penny. Thanks, and please reconsider.
Next I have Jim Condon.
I don't have anything
Okay.
to add what's been offered, so
Okay,
I think everybody's done a great job of explaining what they have to say.
Diane Reber?
Hi, I'm Diane Reber. My husband just spoke. I live at 3916 West Avenue here in Mchenry. First of all, I'm here on behalf of our veterans, all of our senior citizens in this town. I have two very dear senior citizens that live next door to me who, I'm not going to pat my husband and myself on the back. If it wasn't for us, when they got to their later years and couldn't drive around, they felt they did not have to use the bus because we were there for them. They have both now passed on. We've got one that we take care of on the other side now. He does not drive. We take care of him. If he needs us, he knows. But he does know that there's a bus if he needs it. But the main reason I was not signed up originally to talk. The reason I'm talking is because I sat out in this audience and I watched all of the men here. Out of who I was informed, 4 were trustees, 3 absolutely, one had his head down, like the other lady out there said, leaning on a piece of paper, glasses on his head. The other one, half asleep. The other one, I'm not sure what he was doing. The other one seemed to be paying attention and being very observant. The gentleman at the end, very observant. Jim, I know you. And most of the other ones, I don't know who you are, but you were very looking at all of the people who were talking. But the other 3, totally down. Head down, half asleep down at the end. I am just here to support our veterans who need this service, our senior citizens who may not know this service is available, but we've got to get the word out, and by taking it away, quit staring into outer space, please. And you know who you are? Pay attention. These people need your help.
He's too busy sleeping.
$8 a month, or $8 a year. $8 a month is what we pay. But $8 a year, we will all pay that. And for you to take it away from us, and our senior citizens, and our veterans who need it, shame on you.
I have Jerry Condon signed up.
So, I, like some of the others, especially Sue, I've served on the city council for 16 years, so I too do know what it is like to sit here and make difficult decisions, especially with budgets when money is tight, and on one hand, there's a call for cutting taxes. On the other hand, there's an expectation of services. I know that's a hard decision, but as it's been said several times over, this room is packed. These people were able to get here. It's all the people that are watching on the video or that aren't able, I guess I should say, aren't able to physically get here because of their disabilities that you need to hear from. And I think everyone here is trying to represent them. When I served on the city council, I tried to represent those who weren't interested in being an elected official, and I wanted to be their voice. My other real job, I guess, is that I'm a mental health counselor, and I try to help people live a better quality of life. I work with a lot of people who are dealing with depression and suicidal. One of the symptoms of suicide is isolation. The people with disabilities who utilize the services that you are providing for a mere $8, that everyone here at least has told you that they're willing to pay, if that wasn't available, that's isolating people. That's keeping them at home. That's letting them sit and just think about how stressful their life is because they can't get to a doctor, because they can't get to a grocery store, because they can't do whatever it is that they need. This service, as it's been said before, is a lifeline. And I'm not saying that the people that, if you get rid of the service, are going to be suicidal, but I will tell you what, they will be in a depression because they will be isolated. Don't do that. As Sue eloquently said before, there's some of us who know how tough those decisions are, but we're asking you. You have a room full of people that are asking you to reconsider. I know there's been a lot of statements that said, put it to a vote. I guess that's a good alternative, but quite honestly, I don't even think that's necessary. You've heard from your constituents who are telling you, don't do it. Just don't do it.
Okay, I need to take my public comment just for a few minutes here. I received a letter from Village President Edward Hederman today, and I believe it's been passed off to the board. I would like to read that letter. He would be here tonight, but he has a village board meeting. He wanted me to read this to all of us. It has come to my attention that the Mchenry Township Board will be considering a vote to eliminate the senior bus transportation program at a special meeting tonight. I am writing to you to share my concerns regarding the actions I believe doing so will have serious negative consequences on the seniors living in the Mchenry Township community that have come to rely on this service. The bus serves approximately 170 township seniors per year, providing approximately 13,000 one-way trips for seniors and disabled individuals that live anywhere in McHenry Township. These individuals has come to rely on the service to take them to doctor's appointments, dialysis treatments, to shop for vital groceries, to the fish food pantry, and to transport seniors to McHenry Township Senior Center for daily activities. The Senior Transportation Program provides more specific transportation needs that PACE does not have the capacity to cover, nor that they could cover with timeliness provided by the senior program because of all their additional stops. The cost of the program is minimal to the taxpayers of McHenry Township. This funding is also provided by federal and county transportation grants and rider donations. The average township taxpayer pays less than $8 annually to fund the program. It is my understanding that public comments from the meeting that have taken place have been supportive of the program. If this is a program that taxpayers truly want to eliminate, a referendum is a more appropriate avenue as to provide your constituents with a voice in the matter. Seniors have paid and continue to pay their taxes, and their needs should not be disregarded. I urge you, McHenry Township Board, to consider the needs of the seniors in our community and vote against dissolving the senior bus transportation program. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. And then one last thing I'd like to add into tonight. Debbie was handed a petition by, I can't count them totally, but there's over 140, 150 signatures here, and I'll present it to the board to keep our bus service. Okay. Okay, I don't want to slight anybody. Is there anybody else who would like to talk yet before we move on? Okay, if you could go up and give your name and address.
Hello, my name is Lee Calda, and I am a bus driver also. I would love to have any one of the board come out and ride with me on my 120-mile day and see how many people really do need this service.
Good idea.
I had them. I've had them cry. I've had them need the help getting in and out. And I know we're all able to do that, so it's, really good for us. But seriously, come on your day off. You can ride with me anytime. I would really appreciate it if you would. We need the service.
Okay, your name and,
My name is Beverly Much. I reside at 4314 East Lakeshore Drive in Wonder Lake. I attended last Thursday and spoke. I brought a friend of mine who's handicapped. She lives on Waukegan Street, or Waukegan Road at Mchenry Villa, and I'm here tonight to advocate for her. When she was 23, she's 63 now, she had a very severe, debilitating stroke. And she is non-ambulatory. As she says, she has one good appendage, and she has her right arm and hand to help her live and go through the tasks of daily living. For the last 5 years, I took her to Sunday morning Bible study and worship service. It was difficult transferring her from her wheelchair to my car. I would have to fold her body into the seat because her legs didn't want to cooperate. And during the snowy weather, the windy weather, the rainy weather, it was unpleasant. We were very happy when the Sunday service arrived. There's one problem, however. If this service is cut, the Sunday service provided by the county starts at 9 a.m. She needs to be picked up earlier than that to participate in the Sunday morning Bible study. It's very important to her. So I'd like to see this service retained, and if it's not, I would like the trustees who vote against it to answer this question. Will you transport Laura at 8:15 a.m. on Sundays?
And we live at 1221 Quincy in Johnsburg. I work at a nonprofit in Lake County, and we serve a lot of vulnerable populations, and transit is a huge, huge problem. They have to kind of go through the PACE scheduling, and it's just, if they have multiple appointments or other challenges that fit outside the schedule, it's a huge challenge for them. So hearing that we have this wonderful service that we offer people, and I'm also a previous mental health counselor, so I understand a lot about how the brain works. If someone is physically ill, it's very, very hard to prioritize, to schedule, and to follow a set schedule from PACE. If someone is suffering from other challenges, physical or other mental health disorders like ADHD, it's very hard to prioritize your life and follow the other schedules that are out there. So I would encourage you to take into consideration people who utilize the service and just how hard it would be for them to navigate the other transportation options out there. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Larry Frisk, and I'm at 1221 Quincy Avenue in Johnsburg. And I'm an only child. My mom and dad live in Lombard. And my father passed away about 5 years ago. After he passed away, my mom, who never got a driver's license, had to walk everywhere she went. And fortunately, she lived within proximity of Walgreens and a few other things, but that was the limit of her network, was really just Walgreens, and that was it. She either wasn't aware or didn't know that something like that was available, or nothing was available for her to take advantage of. She was very robust for a long time until she came down with cancer. And she, within about 4 months, died from that. But she spent a long, long time by herself, alone, without many resources. Fortunately, she had a family next door that took pity on her and helped her in many ways. But they couldn't help her the way that she needed to be helped. There were so many things that she needed to do that she couldn't. And neither can I, because I work full-time. My wife works full-time. And it's a very, very long trip back and forth. It's something like this is so vital for people that don't expect to have problems, or that just don't have the resources to get where they need to go. Thank you for your time, and I understand this is a very tough decision, and you have to really go with what people are needing. Thank you.
My name is Dorothy King, and I live at 2011 Clinton Court in Mchenry. And this has been so powerful. You are all so wonderful. But I have this constant question about why are we here tonight? Why are we here tonight? No one here has said why they came up with this idea. We got one line in an agenda, that was it. And I think it's really cruel and disrespectful to create this kind of agitation without education of the people, your constituents. Why have you put this out for us to all be so concerned about? What is the rationale? Thank you.
Go ahead.
Good sirs, my name is Raina Sundell Adams, and I live at 4715 South Ridgeway Road in Ringwood, Illinois. I left my job 2 years ago. I was a driver for rail, a CDL company, Class A, and I went home to take care of my parents. They're both going to be 88 this year, and they have not needed the bus up until now. My father now has Alzheimer's. He had a stroke 3 years ago. That's why I left. My mother is housebound for the most part. She needs help getting in and out of the car. She has had her license up until this year. She does not plan to renew it. The bus provides a service that most folks don't need until something inadvertent happens. Not all drivers are created equally. I give credit to the other drivers that can drive passengers. You need a passenger endorsement to be able to drive people around. Not all buses are capable of carrying seniors with difficult medical problems. The bus drivers here at the Mchenry bus areas, they are able and willing to help seniors, to give them the extra time and care that they need on and off the buses. So please keep that in mind as you make your decisions.
Okay, last call. Last call. Okay. Oh, Dan, did you want to speak?
I've stated many times before, there's nobody more dear to my heart than the veterans. There's more of the veterans, no more than the Vietnam vets. We have a Vietnam vet here. I'm sure there's more in here that utilize his service. The reason that Vietnam vets are so special in my heart is the way they were treated when they came home.
Yes.
Okay, if you take away this program, you're going to give them an insult that's worse than the way they were treated when they came home. made a prediction 3 weeks ago about what was gonna happen at the last board number, and it came true. I pray to God that the prediction that I gave before this meeting doesn't come true. Have a heart. $10 a year, actually $7.95 is the correct number. $7.95, yes it is. Okay, inflate it all you want. What is it, $20 a year? How much? How much? How much, Steve? How much?
You still pay, answer it.
Answer the question.
Don't even know.
Have a heart. That's all I have to say.
We're done with public comment. Is there anybody else? I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. They all had the opportunity to speak.
Just look this veteran in the eye if you decide against it. Right here.
Okay. Now we're done with public comment. We're moving on to new business. The item on the agenda, put on by Mr. Anderson and Mr. Vera for tonight's special meeting, for the elimination of the Mchenry Township Senior Bus Program and the refusal of the Mchenry Township Bus Program grants. It's open. Do we have a motion to move this forward?
I have that motion.
Do we have a second to that motion?
I'll read it first.
We're talking about this motion right here, about right now.
Which one?
The one on the agenda that you told me to put on the agenda.
There's only one motion.
For the elimination of the Mchenry Township Senior Bus Program and the refusal of the Mchenry Township Bus Program grants. That's what you clerk in a written statement to be put on the agenda, and that's what I put on the agenda. Is there, I don't know that, help me out here, Mr. Milton, I don't know that we can make that.
Motion and possible action.
Hold on.
The agenda item is an agenda item.
And here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The agenda is an agenda item. It provides for new business. The item is relative to the elimination of the senior fund.
Turn it up, Jim.
Test.
Thank you. This is just an agenda item, so just putting it on the agenda does not automatically mean there's a motion. So if there's a motion that a trustee wants, just because you put it on the agenda doesn't automatically make it a motion. So if there's a motion that any of the trustees would like to make, then this would be the time for the motion to be made. Now, let me preface that, is that if there's a motion, we would need a second on that motion, and then once you have that second, then there'd be some discussion on it. If there's a motion made and there is no second to it, then it would fail for lack of a second. So if there's a motion to be made, then I'm going to give the mic back.
And that's what I said, I'm going to make this. Is this one?
That's a live motion.
Okay. So I'm going to make a motion here, and I move the Mchenry Township Board eliminate the Mchenry Township Senior Bus Program Friday, July 26, 2019, effective at the close of the regular operations, as the Mchenry Township Board return the Mchenry Township Senior Bus grants.
Shame on you.
Sorry, we need to have the quorum here. You can make this motion. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
It's now open to discussion. We're having discussion right now. I'd be the first to say there's not a member in this room that has told you they want to do this. You're not representing the public that you've been elected to represent, those of you that were elected. And if really believe there's a need for this, as you've done in the past, let's put it to a referendum to the voters and let the voters speak, which is what this board has always told me we should do.
We're willing to give up.
And when are they out of office?
Okay, any further discussion?
Any further discussion? Any? Okay, we're still in discussion. Any other discussion?
I'd like to make a discussion.
Okay?
We just went through, hello? Can you hear me?
Yep.
We just went through, the budget hearings. We just went through the budget hearings. It was a torturous process. It took 10 hearings to solve the budget, which just happened earlier in this meeting. A lot of that time was spent on those budget meetings talking about the bus service. We were looking at ways to save money, and consequently, we raised the fares from $1 to $2. We gave up on Sundays, and I thought that was because that would give us a reason to save the program.
Yes.
Evidently, it was a waste of time. Another point I'd like to make is these grants. There's $33,000 from the federal government. So the federal government thinks that this is a worthwhile program because they gave us $33,000. McHenry County gave us $15,000. So evidently, they're voting with their money. They think it's a worthwhile program.
So why don't keep it?
Well, yes.
I mean, it's our tax dollars, we're willing to pay for it, right? If you get this $8,000 a month.
$32 a year
My-
for their taxes.
My point is, if we stop this program, that money is gonna go back to the federal government, it's gonna go back to the county government, and it's not gonna save the taxpayers any money, it's just gonna be spent somewhere else. I'd just like to say one more thing is if the voting public wants to save money and get rid of this program, why aren't they in this room? None of them are in this room. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion now in regards to Mr. Anderson's motion? I have to call on our attorney because I don't know if it's possible for us to stop service by that time. If that would go through. Oh, you have one discussion, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm still in discussion.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, first of all, it's time to cut costs. Township statutory duties do not include senior express service.
Let him talk, let him talk.
Can you hear me now? Okay, thank you. It's time to cut costs. Township statutory duties do not include senior express service. This service is purely discretionary, it is not mandated by law. Discretionary services are sold to the public at low cost, the cost of a cup of coffee or less. This is how we have arrived into our property tax predicament. Townships
Order, please let him speak. Crowd, please let him speak.
Townships have just 3 statutory requirements: general assistance, property assessments, and road maintenance in unincorporated areas. Taxpayers are fed up with excessive property taxes. People are leaving in droves. McHenry County's 2.7 average tax rate.
Stop paying the trustees.
Please let him speak.
You didn't even listen to
Okay,
Taxpayers-
crowd, please let him speak, or I'll have to start asking people to remove. I don't want to do that. Go ahead, Bob.
Taxpayers are fed up with excessive property taxes. People are living in droves. McHenry County's 2.7 average tax rate as percentage of house value in 2018 is the highest in the Collier counties: DuPage, Lake, Will, and King McHenry. The general public is sick and tired of McHenry County's high property taxes. Out of more than 3,000 counties in the U.S., McHenry property tax burden ranks 29th. Townships, municipalities, school districts, fire districts, library districts, and more over the years have taken a little more, and now many homeowners are paying annual taxes of $8,000, $10,000 or more. The overall goal of this board is to save taxpayer money. We are penny pinchers. Believe me, every tax dollar is worth fighting for. We were not elected to be cheerleaders of the status quo or rubber stampers. Past boards thrived in expanding services, building huge budget surpluses which led to lawsuits. The Mchenry Township budget for 2019-2020 Senior Express is $303,343. That's 19% of the town budget when you take out the $584,944 budget for the assessor out of that fund. That's a lot of pennies. What's the budget? I said it's 19% of the budget. That's 19% of the budget is spent on 0.004% of the population. The bus cost rides per ride when you put in the grants, which is total taxpayer cost, is $23.35. The taxpayer cost is 97%. The rider cost, they're only paying 3%. In 2013, Donna Schaefer was township supervisor, and the board of trustees were Craig Adams, Jim Condon, Marcia Nelson, and Douglas Carlisle. Cost for the senior bus express at that time was $126,000 or $106. Cost per ride at that time with grants was $19.42. In just 6 years, costs increased to $177,237, at more than double, which was a 140% increase. In summary, the Mchenry Township Board continues to move forward doing exactly what we were elected to do. And that is to reduce Mchenry Township citizens' tax burdens by reducing the size and cost of government. In other words, this board is following the will of the voters. The elimination of the Mchenry Township Senior Bus Program is about doing the right thing for those hardworking families who are not here tonight, living paycheck to paycheck, over pleasing the status quo.
Oh, man.
You don't understand about? I'd like to comment on that. Bob, you keep trying to put in the revenue that we get from grants as a cost. Those are revenues, those are not a cost. So I want to correct that, okay? I don't know how a grant can be a cost. It's revenue we receive. Anybody else? Mike, would you like to discuss this?
You guys want to get happy again real quick? Stand up for it.
Could you keep order in there?
Mr. Vera, I will run the meeting. If you don't like it, that's too bad. Please, please, keep the order there.
I don't know yet.
Steve hasn't asked to speak. If you want to speak, Steve?
Sure, I'll go.
Okay.
Don?
No, I can't hear you.
Give him that.
How about now?
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people insulted us, and we don't care.
Hold it close to your mouth.
Many people who spoke insulted us. And we don't care about the seniors, that we just arrived willy-nilly, there are no plans. Okay, that isn't true. We spent a lot of time on this.
Apparently not.
Okay, please let him speak. We need to keep the quorum.
So what is the alternate? What is your?
First of all, the board has never provided this paper.
The hell?
No.
So do your research first. Yeah,
You had it all.
And the figures are not correct.
Then provide me with correct figures, you don't have
The
them.
correct figure is that the average cost, the cost of a ride, a round trip ride, is about $50. Hey, look,
It's given to you,
you
not
can,
taken
you can
from.
read the figures yourself. Okay, get this. We have a $5 million policy for each incident with the bus, correct, Mr. Militello? Per incident, per bus.
Yes.
Okay, and they're handling disabled and seniors. We have 5 buses. Guess what the cost of the insurance supposedly is for that? $1,000 a year, $200 for each bus. Okay? These gasoline figures don't add up to the mileage. And we discovered that it was the Township Road District was the one providing the bulk of the gasoline. It wasn't, there's no cost accounting in any of this.
Why do we have these figures then?
Right, it's all propaganda and it's designed to fool people.
Steve, I want you to provide me proof that those figures are
Will you
wrong.
allow me to speak, Mr. Adams? I didn't interrupt you.
Not when you're speaking on truths. Now you can speak.
Now I can speak. I'm a little astonished about these veterans. About the veterans, because there's a separate program in this county, Mchenry County Veterans Assistance.
No.
That will drive them to their doctor.
Let him speak.
Can I speak?
No, you cannot.
What's missing out of this equation is the McRide program that the county already has. The McRide program operates Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. The Senior Express is only from 8 to 3. The McRide program operates on Saturdays and Sundays from 9 to 5. The Senior Express never operated on Saturdays, and Sundays was discontinued by the executive decision of Mr. Adams. That never was a vote, okay?
That is correct, and I will explain that.
Yeah, and that was to take effect in June. The cost of the McRide program is $1.50 for the first 5 miles, which is cheaper than the $2 suggested donation for Senior Express. And I believe you told us that most rides are, 95% of the rides are within 5 miles.
I believe so.
Okay, so it would be cheaper for people to get the McRide program. It has a wider geographic area for the entire county. The Senior Express only goes to the township and then some nearby places.
Have you ever had?
There's a Senior Services Associates Transportation program that has no fee.
They do not have a program.
I'm a volunteer in that program.
You say what the voters decide, they did decide at that last election.
No.
Everybody. What about all the seniors? What about all the seniors that are being taxed out of their homes? Nobody seems to give a hoot about that.
Please. If you're gonna keep interrupting him, I'm gonna have to ask people to be removed. He has the right to speak.
Now, the USA Today newspaper conducted a study they published on October 2nd, 2018. The highest tax counties in every state. And guess which was the highest tax county in Illinois? It was McHenry County. And McHenry County is also the 17th highest taxed county in the United States for property taxes. Okay? 17th in the nation out of 3,300 some counties or county equivalents. I'm not making this stuff up. I'm glad Mr. Adams had corrected a misstatement from the past that somehow or other there were people in Mchenry Township that could not avail themselves of the McRide program. I'm talking about seniors and disabled.
I talked to Susan Baruki, who is the senior planner, said that is absolutely not true. Everyone within the boundaries of the township that's disabled and a senior can get a ride from McRide, which has better operating hours, a wider geographic area, and it's cheaper if you're paying the $2.
Okay, hey, I'm gonna have to ask you to, I'm sorry.
You didn't listen to a proving it.
I think you gotta restart moving people. This is out of hand and you've lost control of the meeting.
She will leave. Continue to speak, Mr. Bird.
I understand that there's a lot of hardship, okay? There's a lot of hardship for everybody in this county and in this township. Something's got to give. We can't go on overspending.
How about your salaries?
Down, please. Next time I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
Well, the board actually voted to reduce the salary to nothing for the future board. Okay, so we have done something.
For the future.
Okay, please, let him speak.
We also cut the salaries of the township officials for the next year. Actually, that was a board before I even got on that did that. So, yeah, I don't really care about being reelected. I'm not a bobblehead. I don't have an interest in becoming a township pensioner, okay? I have an obligation to the taxpayers, and believe me, there are thousands of them out there. Thousands of elderly people. And we have an obligation to them. Oh, look, you know, you say we have a representative form of government. Yeah, we do. And that was settled in the election, okay? You can stack a board meeting with a bunch of employees of townships, people whose livelihood is involved.
You requested a private meeting. You went into a private meeting for your own appointment.
Look. All the people have to do is dial a different number for their rides. It's the same reservation system, okay? So,
you can speak, people. You cannot respond right now.
Will you please let Greg respond?
Please let him talk. If you keep talking, I'm going to have to ask you to leave, okay?
You said that about 15 times to no avail.
Sir, I'm going to go out now, but he is instigating us. He is instigating us.
I'm instigating a tax revolt. Okay?
You won't be reelected, so.
I don't care.
He wasn't elected.
I was put in.
Okay, people, if you keep speaking, I'm going to start to ask you to leave. We can't interrupt the people.
May I ask a question?
No, you may not right now.
I understand people have gotten used to the program. I understand, supposedly. When this program was started by the township, the county didn't have a program. When the county developed its own program, there should have been a revision and a review of the township program. Government expands as long as there's tax money to give. And people are fed up, and it's enough. Someone has to say enough. We can't go on like this. Well, here's what President Eisenhower said in his farewell address. I'll read it to you. As we peer into society's future, we, you and I, and our government must avoid the impulse to live only for today, plundering for our own ease and convenience the precious resources of tomorrow. We cannot mortgage the material assets of our grandchildren without risking the loss also of their political and spiritual heritage. We want democracy to survive for all generations to come, not to become the insolvent phantom of tomorrow. So what we have is a failure to communicate. I realize there's a lot of Democrats here, Democrat precinct. A referendum was made at the last election for tax fighters. And that's it. I'm not going to back down. I'm the back too.
Order.
I asked Mr. Adams to come up with an alternative plan. Maybe we could give people Uber vouchers. There are Ubers and wheelchairs. I'm trying to save money, okay?
You've allowed this thing to get out of control.
Good for you. All right, any other discussion?
Mr. Mike, do you have any discussion?
Shame on you guys! Shame!
Yes.
Yes?
Okay, please.
First thing I would like to say is
Speak up. There's a microphone.
you've done a horrible job of trying to
Closer.
We
can't hear you.
We can't hear you, sir. And listen to people who disagree with us, and we didn't insult them like they're doing us. Why can't you get control?
I'm trying to do the best I can. I have a room full of people that do not agree with you. I'm doing the best I can.
Then you orchestrated.
I did not orchestrate this crowd.
You wrote the letter for Hederman.
I did not write the letter for Hederman. Now, Mr. Veer, if you're going to accuse me of things, we're going to be in a court of law.
Really? Jim Militello, can you
Can't hear you.
I can't hear a word.
Can we please hear?
Can you, as a lawyer, say that we have done a good job of controlling this meeting? We've sat here and listened to everybody that wanted to come up and talk. We didn't interrupt them. We didn't make sighs and act like what they were saying.
But you fell asleep, all right, please. Next time you interrupt, I'm going to have to ask you.
Why keep threatening if you're not going to do it? Why even bother?
Many people have already left, Steve, Mike.
Just say what you want to say.
Okay, can you please at least allow me?
Please allow him to talk and do not
Allow me to
interrupt.
speak without interrupting. Show me the courtesy that I showed you when you were up there. There's another one right there that needs to go.
Ma'am, next time you interrupt, I'm going to have to ask you.
I was raised by people who were born in the 20s and early 30s. They were called the greatest generation of our country. And the reason was because they took it upon themselves to do what they had to do. They didn't expect anybody to come out and help them. But most times, like in raising a barn for a farmer, your people were there to help you. Now, as the lone person on this board who's handicapped and can't drive, I've had, and somebody's already quoted it, 16 people in my life from Richmond, from Mchenry, from Johnsburg, Wonder Lake, all come and help me knowing that I was in a situation that I'm in. All right, he needs to go. You should know better. You should know better.
I am not throwing him out. Now,
Well, you
go
should
ahead,
have no
Mike.
business
Continue.
coming into that. You
Mike,
know
you
that.
do not, Mr. Dan. If you do it again, I will ask you to leave.
So, as being the person who least probably should be expected to want to get rid of this service, I'm telling you right now that you need to go out and find people in your lives, at your church, or...
Please. I see somebody.
Go out how? There's no bus.
What is going on
Okay,
here?
please leave, you're.
Lack of democracy is what's going on.
Would you guys like to help me get her in the van? Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate all your help.
Nice job, you got a disabled person kicked out.
All right, that guy's out.
Need to leave. Sir, I'm sorry, you need to leave.
Yeah. You guys need to get a heart. Figure it out, Bob. Your time will come.
Okay, please keep it quiet so Mr. Rakestraw can finish his statement.
So, what I would ask is stop thinking about yourselves and start thinking about how you can help people. How can you help? How can you personally go out and help somebody who needs help?
When you can't
Took your
drive.
crutches away, you couldn't walk out of it, you wouldn't need the
Okay,
help of
another
anybody
one.
in
Okay,
this
you
room.
need to go, ma'am.
And that's what you're doing to these people, you're taking their crutches away from them and expecting them to
Tell
just
the
suck it
cops
up
I
and
think
do
we're
it.
out.
Gentlemen, she's leaving.
Shame on her.
I don't think that I'm the exception to the rule. I think there are a lot of people here that could go and help somebody else. Yeah, no, there's another one.
Mike, I'll determine who's leaving and who's staying.
Okay. The one thing that everybody fails to understand here is that in order for this bus service to run, it has to be subsidized by the taxpayers. Because by Mr. Adams' figuring, it costs $16 per ride. That means if somebody goes to a Walgreens and comes back, that's $32 for that ride. Somebody has, and they're paying $2, somebody has to make up the difference, and that's the taxpayers. And the taxpayers in this county have had it up to their heads, the top of their heads, that in raising more money for things that they don't use. And that's another thing, is that this service is being paid for by 20s, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds who aren't even eligible to use it.
I'm sorry, you can't speak.
People go to school looking for that. Sure, I'll go, because that's the job.
If I was a taxpayer and was under the age of being able to use this, I'd
You
be,
should be ashamed.
I'd be filing lawsuits to ask why I'm required to pay for something and yet I can't use it. What's wrong with that, man? What's wrong with the logic of that?
Are you asking a question?
Are you asking her to answer?
You just asked a question, so. I have no children.
Okay.
Happy to respond.
So everybody that's in here that's using the service, you know that the township residents have to make up the difference for what you use. You have to know that, right? Okay, you can't personally force somebody to pay for this service. So you're coming here and expecting for us to say the same thing, that we will go ahead and tax people for this service that they can't use. Now, there's something wrong with that. I fail to understand why the logic of that is.
There are people
doesn't
here
make
that
sense.
Social contract, you take care of the weakest. Bye.
So I'm going to ask one more time. Do you understand that you can't force people to pay for your service that you can't pay for yourself? But you're asking us, the members of this board, to do it for you.
Then why don't we have a referendum?
The government, thanks to Richard Nixon, every person gets free dialysis.
Okay, that's it.
I have to pay for that. Everybody pays for that.
please.
Think about that. Now I'm.
Thank you.
Tell me the flaw in that argument, that you're asking me and Mr. Anderson, Mr. Veer, that we have to, somehow, we have to come up with the money. We have to vote to come up with the money for this service that most people in this township can't even use.
Are you asking a question? You want to
He's asked 3 questions now.
Yeah, I'd like to call for the vote on this.
Mr. Miltel would like to speak.
There's a motion on the floor, there's been a second, and that motion is to terminate effective June 26, 2019. I'm sorry, strike that, July 26, 2019, that was the motion that was read into the record. Before this board votes on that motion, there's been a lot of plea relative to the motion. I've been presented with, and I wanted to look at the agreements and the obligations that this township may have relative to the senior bus services and the agreements that have been executed. I just received those today, Monday or Tuesday today. I've looked at them. This township has an agreement with the county of Mchenry for the senior bus program. You have also one with this agency on aging. It's a federal program, and there's funds. My concern, and there's been a lot of discussion from personal standpoints, from senior standpoints, disabilities, veterans, wonderful things. I'm here as the attorney, and I'm going to talk briefly as the attorney. And from a contractual standpoint, I have concerns of terminating this agreement effective July 26th. The agreement with the county is through November 30th of 2019. Two of my concerns is the hold harmless provisions, where we agree to indemnify and hold harmless the county in the event there's any errors or problems. There's also in the hold harmless agreement with the agency on aging and some various grievance provisions. It would be my recommendation for your consideration to follow through on these pending agreements through November 30th of 2019. It's certainly within your realm to vote however you want to vote, terminating on the July date, but from a contractual standpoint, I would encourage this board to at least amend that motion to maybe July 30th of 2019 under the terms of these agreements.
You mean November 30th?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, November 30th, 2019. So you understand how township works. Their fiscal year is March 1st, 2019, and goes through April. Excuse me. It starts April 1st through March 31st. So there's a fiscal year differences and contractual year differences. So when I say a full year, I'm not talking about the full calendar year. I'm looking at the agreements that have been executed, and so my recommendation, if this board is desirous of moving forward with termination, don't do it in July. Wait at least until November 30th, 2019, until after those agreements have expired and hold harmless provisions and other responsibility provisions have been cleared up, number one. Number two, from a notice standpoint, there is some notice provisions in here regarding providing those various agencies notices as far as any types of termination, and that would give you ample time in order to comply with those provisions as well.
And what are the notice provisions?
There's a 30-day notice provision on the aging, which is a separate agreement. However, that's a 30-day notice provision there. There is a grievance provision, though, that continues that could cause a problem and the hold harmless, but that's regarding the agency on aging. You still have the issue with the county agreement. Again, my recommendation, if this board is desirous to do it,
considering those obligations, at least wait until the November 30th date for termination.
Well, the grievance provision, that just relates to some kind of a lawsuit or something that the
No.
township is in.
Yeah, no, actually, the grievance, interesting on the grievance, and again, I just got these, so I've had a chance to look over them briefly, but the grievance procedure says the applicant agency, which it's the township, agrees to provide a grievance procedure for older individuals who are dissatisfied or denied service. And based on my being here tonight, I assume there's going to be a lot of grievances relative to the program.
There's no point in trying to stimulate that. And also, what's the notice provision for the county program?
I did, Steve, I didn't see one. The interesting thing on the county one, there's a lot of discretion for the county and their termination should there be issues relative to the program. I did not see a specific timeline for the termination. It just provided that the agreement provides effective date all the way through November 30th of 2019, so a few months away.
Well, unfortunately, Mr. Adams never provided us with any of that, and I asked him to do so. Copies of all these agreements. The grievance provision would be if some individual was denied the service, not whether the entire service is discontinued.
I don't disagree. My concern though is from the township standpoint is that if there's an individual that has a grievance and all of a sudden they start complaining to the agency on aging and the agency on aging says, hey, we have a hold harmless with you guys, it's not our problem, it's your problem, and then all of a sudden now the township's spending a whole lot of money indemnifying and paying back the agency on aging for their attorney's fees and their costs and all the rest of it. And so even though it may not be our problem, it may be our problem, so I guess I'm trying to avoid that problem.
Well, the board never voted to enter into those contracts, did they?
Yes, they did. This board did vote to enter into those contracts before you were here, Mr. Beer.
Okay, what was the date of that?
I don't know the date of it, but Mr. Anderson, do you not agree? We talked about grants and you agreed to go forward. I had to ask you to do that. Last year sometime. Last year sometime.
But the grants this year, we had a provision.
I'm not talking about the grants this year. These are the ones in existence now, not the ones coming up.
I'm not arguing that.
Okay, Mr. Anderson agrees that that did happen at this meeting.
Well, it had to happen before the
happened.
agreement was signed, right? So that means it would be sometime before November of 2018.
They happen at different times, so I can't give you the exact timeline, but this board agreed to those grants at that time.
Well, as a corollary of accepting the attorney's change, he'll provide the notices to the attendant agencies so that we're within the time.
Can't hear you.
If the board makes that decision, I would do that.
Still can't hear you.
We're sorry, our mics have gone dead.
Isn't there a button on there to turn them on?
No, they're dead. The batteries have gone dead. We've been here so long.
Well, talk louder, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, where are we at here? Mr. Militelli, you were speaking? Yeah, if this board decides to terminate the agreements and effective through the November 30th, 2019 date, any notice provisions in advance, we would provide the necessary notice provisions as well, so it would comply with those dates.
Well, explain that to me. And first of all,
So
we could accept this motion here with the vote, could we not?
your motion as drafted and
could
as
accept
stated,
it.
you can accept that as is,
Right.
yes.
But your recommendation is
My
to
recommendation
change
is
that
instead
date?
of, yes, instead of July 26th, whatever that date is, to November 30th.
So then, to call the vote on that, I would have
You're changing the motion. I guess.
to, have to,
Well,
change the motion.
I have certain questions about all
We're
this.
not through, she's got some questions, so I just know what has to be done in the future. Okay, go ahead, Steve.
I was under the impression that people have to call a day ahead to get the ride.
Sometimes they do call a day ahead, sometimes they call a week ahead on what we'll schedule.
So what is the outer bound of reservations?
At least a day ahead.
So what is the subscription that people are talking about?
In Mchenry Township, if you're having the same rides every week at the same time, you can get a subscription. You don't have to call in every week to get a ride. In other words, you're gonna go every Wednesday to this location at the same time. We give you a subscription.
Well, this was never made known to the board. So how many people are on the subscription service?
I have no idea, Steve. I'd have to find out.
You're the one in charge of it.
I run the grant program. I'm not in charge of the day-to-day operations.
So who is that person?
That would be Matt would know the answer to that.
So,
well, it's unfortunate that the supervisor held back these contracts to the last minute. Just like all kinds of information has been held back during this entire process. These figures for the gasoline use and the mileage do not add up.
And Steve, you add them up and bring them back to me and tell me what they are, because they do add up in my book.
You just had a driver testify that she puts in 120 miles a day.
Steve, the buses have changed from the previous year to this year. That maybe it's not every day with her either, okay? Those mileages add up.
Right, and the gasoline adds up.
It does.
And it doesn't make sense what's been presented as the cost of the
Then
gasoline.
you give me figures, you give me whatever figures you want, Steve. Those are the figures I'm telling you are legitimate and accurate.
The fact of the matter is, under basic cost accounting principles, these figures are incorrect.
Then provide me with figures that you think are correct. You've never
Well,
done
you've
that.
got to add in,
And what?
you've got to add in the taxpayer costs. The two grants are tax money. That
Steve,
has to be added in.
Those are revenue. They are not. They are revenue to our program. They are not taxpayer money. Again,
It's not revenue.
it is revenue. We've been through this a million times, Steve. Let's amend the motion or do whatever.
would you still second the motion if I amended to November 30th?
Bob, amend the motion and see what happens. You can't ask him ahead of time.
Well, then I may not want to amend it. See, I know what I've got here now.
I'm tired of being stymied by this administrative folderol. Okay?
Steve, I just advise.
Obviously, you want to keep the program because it's more patronage for you, and it's more people in control, it's more money, government expands, the program gets bigger. We can have 20 buses like it was suggested.
We went through all of this.
Yeah, we're having a discussion now, Stan, okay?
Okay.
You
Steve,
talked to a driver who said the program was bad.
okay. Do we want to amend the motion? I'm just letting you know, legal counsel advice is to keep this till November 30th. You can still vote to get rid of the program.
I would like to stand by a suggestion from our attorney and change that motion. Should I put the date, just the date on that, or should I put a date, what November 31? Should I just put November 30th, 2019, or you want a day with it too?
No, you can just put November 30th.
Okay.
Well, wait a minute. Is this all the contracts that have a bearing on the discontinuation of the program?
This is all.
This is what I received.
This is all there is, Steve.
What I heard him say earlier, Steve.
This is all there is.
Like that to be on record.
And what prevents the supervisor from signing another contract?
Because I can't sign it without your permission. I was signed with permission before.
Should I read the whole motion again with the dates in there?
You're making an amended motion.
Yeah, I'm making a motion, okay. So I move that Mchenry Township Board eliminate the Mchenry Township Senior Bus Service, let's see, on November 30th, 2019. And that the Mchenry Township, let me go back here. At the close of regular operation, I guess I'm gonna put that in there too, the same date. Yeah, I'm gonna backtrack, I'm gonna keep that in there. Let me cross this out here.
And also that the township attorney notify the relevant agencies of the termination.
contract's over, you don't need to notify them.
The contract will be over, we don't need to know.
Well,
All right, whatever you want, if you want them to notify, fine.
Okay. I move the McHenry Township Board eliminate the McHenry Township Senior Bus Program effective at the close of regular operations on November 30th, 2019, and that the McHenry Township Board return the McHenry Township Senior Bus Grants.
Not return, don't enter into new ones, I would change that motion.
Not to
Enter into any new
the
grants.
Township Board, not renew.
Okay, renew or enter into either or both.
and that the appropriate federal, county, and state agencies be notified of the discontinuance of service.
He would like that added to your motion. So will you please read the motion with that added to it?
I didn't get what he wanted. First of all,
Okay, Steve, can you tell Bob what you'd like added to the motion?
That these relevant granting organs, whatever they may be, federal, state, county, municipal, whatever, foreign,
if we just
be
have-
notified of determination of the program. Right, Mr. Malcello? I mean, that would solve a lot of problems. With any continuation or expectancies of the program.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Anderson, please read the amended motion that you want entered.
Okay. I move the McHenry Township Board eliminate the McHenry Township Senior Bus Program effective at the close of regular operations on November 30th, 2019, and that the McHenry Township Board not returned or entered into any new McHenry Township Senior Bus grants, and that the township notify the relevant granting authorities of the termination of the program.
Okay. Do we have a second to that motion?
You feel comfortable, Mr. Noakella, that covers what we're trying to do here?
Terminating the agreements, yes.
So on legal advice, that you feel comfortable with that?
I'm not advising whether you should terminate or not.
No, I'm not asking you that. If we do this, our bases are covered. I'm not asking if you're for it or not. I'm just asking.
From a legal standpoint, I'm comfortable because we're terminating at the end of the terms of those agreements.
Do we have to put a deadline on the notification to these agencies? So that it'll be done soon, okay?
So, we need a second.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Veer. Any further discussion? Again, gentlemen, we've heard from everybody in this audience. There wasn't one person here saying to get rid of the bus service. Again, we feel this is necessary. I feel we should go to a referendum and ask all the people in the township. Any other discussion? Any other discussion?
The call for the question.
Okay, question's called by Mr. Anderson. We will vote on the question. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Rakestrup?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, definitely no. Mr. Wojcicki?
No.
Mr. Veer?
Definitely, yes.
Okay. Question has been done and heard. Okay. The motion has passed as presented by Mr. Anderson. Okay, with that, we need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Motion to adjourn by Mr.
Wait, there's still the executive session.
There is no executive session tonight. It's at the regular meeting. At the regular meeting.
How about public comment?
I seconded the adjournment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Thank you for having a heart.
Motion
Thank you,
adjourned.
sir, for having a heart.
Are we gonna need help to get some cars?
Okay, and we signed the wrong one.
Okay, there's a fire service representing the
No, it is not. No, it's not. It doesn't say.
If anybody needs a bus, be sure to call a trustee.
What should we call them? You got
The details of it. Good night.
Just obeying taxpayer. Last election. Something that.
They already made up their mind before we walked in.
Are you ready?
Yeah, that was a good,
Let me get it.
yeah, they didn't listen. They don't care. It should go on the ballot. They don't even care.
No, we're, no.
I know. They don't listen either. won't Anderson doesn't look in the eye.
And he goes to crush the king.
No.
Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your presence.
You'll escort us out. Take us out. Don't tell them what's gonna happen, our windshields are bad. Nobody shooted about
It's down, you know.
Yeah, sit for that. Oh, no, that was 6 o'clock. That's 3.5 hours.
We got a heating here, guys. They want us to go on. Let me go out, I'll bring the car up.
Are you guys all together in the car?
No, those are together for our.
Huh? Anything good?
Nice to meet you.
So who's going with me?
They're right together. I don't know. You want to go with them? Okay, I'll go with them. I'll say it.
Who are you with? Northwest Harold. I thought Gabe was a photographer.
Oh, Matt?
Yeah.
Well, he had something else to shoot tonight.
Yep, take the back door.
On police advice. Get out there, Roger. He needs protection. There's somebody else.
Am I supposed to go out this door as well?
How far's car?
I don't know, he should be pulling up there.
they can't even take their bottles? Somebody has to keep them.
Well, this one I left in case Mary wanted it. She obviously
They better watch
didn't.
out though, when they go out to the cars, they're not slashed, those tires.
They just better watch out, period, because, you know, people don't, I mean, I would never advocate, but, no, some people just don't take it lightly, you know?
Like, girls, you know it's 9:45.
Oh, this is my huge 9:45. Go, go, go.
See you
All right,
tomorrow.
I'll see you later.
Later tomorrow or no?
I have that 10 o'clock.
Okay.
So I'll be in and then I'll leave and come back.
All right.
Craig, did you lock the thing?